Social contract theory. What the state should be. Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau. About 300 years ago, there were three philosophers who thought about what the nation should be. Hobbes had a realistic idea, and Rousseau had an ideal idea. And Locke had an intermediate idea. Many countries, including Japan today, have adopted the idea of Locke. After all, the idea in the middle may be the most preferred. Number 1, Hobbes. The nation should be ruled by the king. We may not be aware of it in our daily lives, but we are bound by laws and rules. Home rules, school rules, company rules, social rules, etc. What if all those rules were gone? If everyone could do anything freely? Hobbes was a British philosopher about 400 years ago. He thought that a fight by all would begin. Each of us thinks only about ourselves. What I eat today, what I do today, what time I go to bed today, and so on. When we got complete freedom, he thought that people would compete by giving top priority to their own interests and doing whatever they wanted without thinking about others. A few powerful people may want such a society, but most people don't like it. Hobbes thought that the king should rule the nation. He is not just a king, but a strong king. By the way, Hobbes said that a strong king like Leviathan was desirable. Leviathan was the name of a monster that appeared in the Old Testament. Instead of the people absolutely submitting to the king governs the people. What do you think of Hobbes's nation? I think Hobbes's point that people think only about themselves is right. However, you definitely don't want to submit to the king. If people are completely free, will the fight by all begin? I'm sure there will be more conflict. However, attacking a person increases the number of enemies and increases the risk of being counterattacked. Everyone doesn't like being attacked. I think it's a little too simple that the fight by all will start if everyone is free. In any case, Hobbes's nation has not become the mainstream of modern times. Number 2, Locke. State should be governed by parliament and government. Adopted by modern nations. Locke was also a British philosopher about 400 years ago. The nation he thought was well balanced and has been adopted by countries around the world, including modern Japan. What happens to society if all the rules are gone and everyone is free? Locke thought this way. People act in favor of their own interests, but at the same time can think that they should not hurt the lives or interests of others. So he thought that the conflict that Hobbes thought would not happen. However, he thought that parliament and government were needed to crack down on some people, as some could hurt others. Citizens conclude a contract to entrust the right to make a law to the Diet and the right to enforce the law to the government. Instead, parliament and government use laws and rules to govern conflicts. If the parliament or government creates excessive laws and rules that adversely affect the people are entitled to resist the parliament or the government. What do you think of Locke's idea? The idea of Locke is pretty good, so it is adopted in modern Japan and other countries. But do you feel good about modern government? Bad news is flowing every day, such as politicians privately using the money collected from the people and enforcing laws and rules that are favorable to a specific company. Despite the fact that the Diet and the government were originally created by all the people, the result is that vices and inequality are widespread. There are limits to what Locke thinks about the nation. Number 3, Rousseau. The nation should be governed by all the people. Rousseau was a French thinker about 300 years ago. He was the most ideal philosopher I have ever introduced. What happens to society if all the rules are gone and everyone is free? Rousseau thought this way. People can prioritize the interests of society as a whole, the public interest, rather than their own. He thought that there was no need for a king, parliament, government, or anything else to govern the people, as there would be no conflict for people to prioritize their own interests. Therefore, each and every one of the people will govern the nation. Rousseau's thinking is ideal and wonderful, but still far from reality. It is true that the people may be able to think about the interests of society as a whole, but I think they should act with their own interests as their priority. Moreover, it is physically impossible for each citizen to govern the nation. When deciding something important, it is impossible for all the people to gather in one place and discuss each other. Rousseau's idea was unrealistic and was never adopted. However, it is very important to envision an ideal. The nation should be like this. I hope that the nation Rousseau envisioned, each nation-state will prioritize the public interest, and one day a conflict-free nation will be realized.